TYRON by Slowthai came out, I don't know how long ago, but I haven't listened to it, and I owe this to you guys because you guys unlocked this reaction by hitting the donation goal during my streams, and I really appreciate it. And all the support that you guys have been showing to the channel has meant a lot to me. Special shout out to my patrons and the members of the channel for supporting me monthly and helping me to keep making content as often as I can. Slowthai is an artist that I'm not really too familiar with, and so I really want to jump into this project. I have heard a song off of this album during one of the streams. For the life of me, can't remember which one it is. MAZZA featuring A$AP Rocky looks familiar, the title. It might have been that one. But since I don't remember what it sounds like, I don't even remember what song I have heard, I'm going to listen to all 14 of these tracks. It's a 35-minute long album, which is actually pretty short for 14 tracks. I'm kind of surprised. It means a lot of these are going to be on the shorter side. I'm seeing disc 1 and disc 2 here on Spotify, which is interesting. 14 songs, 2 discs. Maybe they both have different vibes. I mean, there's a lot of really cool different ideas that I have, different lanes that he could take this in. From what I've heard from Slowthai, freestyle here and a track there. He seems very versatile and very talented, so I'm super excited for this. First impressions, looking at the cover art, it already looks like it's going to be kind of a wavy sort of a vibe. I'm digging the color schemes for the the artwork. Cover art influences me a lot. It really sometimes determines whether or not I even listen to an album, so I like the way this looks. I'm excited about what this is going to sound like. Yeah, let's jump into it, dude. I'm happy you guys are here. Thank you for clicking on this video and wanting to experience this ride with me. So, with all that said, man, track 1 is 45 Smoke. Let's get it. Yeah. Lots of animation in his voice, lots of energy. Man, that kick goes stupid, huh? It's like a little lull in the track right now. Yo, he's going off, man. Yo, he went off. I'm really digging his performance on that. I'm really digging the animation and the energy in his vocals. The vocal inflections are really cool. He's kind of like changing up the way that his voice sounds for that second verse, giving it a whole new feel, a whole new sound. I almost thought it was a feature at first. So I really like that about this. The beat goes crazy, right? The kick is super hard. That sample in the background is very, very energetic. And it kind of lingers there in the background on the loop throughout the entire track, except for that one portion where there's like a lull. There's a little bit sort of a calmer part of the track before dropping into that second verse. Man, I think it's really great, energetic, attention grabbing, and it's less than 2 minutes long. So he's able to do a lot in a very short amount of time. I like that. Cancelled featuring Skepta. Oh, let's go. I heard he left something on the seat. From the neck. Oh, by the way, I added 45 Smoke to the Patreon playlist and my workout playlist. That should go crazy in the gym. Huh. I wasn't expecting this slower tempo. Sound selection's very strange, huh? Sounds cool. A different 808 for him, that's cool too. Well, a whole different bounce, really. A whole different drum pattern for Slowthai coming in on this. That's fire. Hey, this bass reminds me of Sicko Mode. That little sample is so awesome. I love Skepta's flow, man. He's awesome. That's another banger, man. I really like the production so far. I like the different sound choices here. I think I heard like 3 different kinds of 808s, the really interesting, snares. There was a whole drum switch up for Slowthai during his verse that I thought was really cool too. The little sample that's on a loop in the background, that's like down, 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 like whatever the little melody is that it's playing. It sounds so dystopian. It kind of sounds like an apocalyptic future somewhere, right? Like Book of Eli kind of vibes for some reason. I don't know why it's that image that I get in my head, but that's kind of the really crazy sort of every man for themselves kind of a vibe that I get from it. It's really, really cool, man. Super chaotic and energetic. But I'm really digging it, man. I'm really digging it. MAZZA featuring A$AP Rocky. So I might have heard this one, like I said, but we'll see if it sounds familiar at all. So I had to triple check to find out which one it was that I had heard before. MAZZA looks familiar to me because during one of the streams, someone asked for me to listen to it, but we never ended up getting to it in the queue. The track that I have heard is I Tried. It's the first track off of disc 2. That's the one I've heard before. That's the one that's on my playlist. But again, I don't remember what it sounds like. So with that cleared up and out of the way, let's get into MAZZA. Wow. I like it when he gets kind of melodic. Wow. It's a nice little chord progression on a loop too. His flow is crazy, man. Super laid back, but it's still in the pocket. Man, that's a really great track. I can see why it's the one that has the most plays off of this first disc. That's really catchy. It's a banger, and A$AP Rocky really killed his verse, man. He had a really interesting, super laid back flow that he found a pocket that was really, really cool in this beat. The beat is really simple. It's a very simple drum pattern, but the drums hit really hard. And like I mentioned during the track, there's a really nice little chord progression on the loop with some interesting sounding synths. So, I mean, there's really nothing that you can hate about, with this track. Slowthai always seems to be bringing the energy and the animation and that charisma on every single track. So, yeah, can't hate on this, man. This one also made it onto my Patreon playlist, and I'm about to add it to my workout playlist too, because it goes really hard. Track 4 is Vex. Woke up broke, so I dog in my heels. Run at the joke, couldn't get in my feels. Took time, no what shoe. Used to get vexed, now just I'm not a big fan of the drum sounds. They're not really hard enough, in my opinion. Yeah, for some reason, I'm just not vibing with this one, man. It's in a similar vibe as the first few, right? The really crazy loop in the background, the super kind of dystopian, distorted loop in the background. But I'm not feeling the drum sounds, and I don't know. I felt like I was pretty done with this song about halfway through it, to be honest. So I wasn't really interested in it for that second half. Just didn't really hold my attention for very long, unfortunately. Track 5 is What? Oh my god, that delayed drop. Yeah, that one's like an interlude, right? It's only 50 seconds long, more or less, but it's super hard. I'm still not a fan of that kind of like muffled snare sound. It just doesn't hit as hard as I want it to. But I'm a big fan of how punchy the kick is, how nice and heavy the 808 is, right? And the little shimmering kind of keys in the background that they pitch down an octave during his verse, which kind of extends it, makes it kind of longer because it's being played slower. I think it sounds really cool. I think this is more so the lane that I want him to be in, is the really heavy drums and lots of energy over the top in the melodies, and him just kind of going crazy. He really did his thing with his performance here too. The snare, man, the kind of muffled snare, it doesn't kind of slap me in the face the way I want it to. You know what I mean? I want a snare that makes me call it daddy. So track 6 is Dead. These claps sound much nicer, really crisp, high end, you know what I mean? Nice slow flow. That's kind of hard. This kind of reminds me of the instrumental portions of Non-Stop by Drake. Yeah, his verse on the second half of the track wasn't really that compelling to me. His flow kind of broke down a little bit. But I was a fan of the really kind of lazy, slow flow on the track for the first half. I wasn't expecting him to find that slower pocket, because the hi-hats are nice and fast-paced. I was expecting him to ride the beat a little quicker. Yeah, so he really caught me off guard with the slow, kind of laid-back, nice and tight flow. I thought that was really cool. The drums are hitting right the way that I want them to. I really like the crisp-sounding claps. They have that nice kind of bright high end that, I don't know, just kind of like fills out the track a little bit nicer on that side of the spectrum. I think it sounds really, really good, because a lot of these tracks have been heavy on the bass and heavy on the kick and the mids, the low mids, the lower frequencies. I like having the nice crisp hats and claps to round out the top half as well. Track 7's Play With Fire. This little melody sounds really funny. It almost sounds like they used the underwater preset on Gross Beat. It makes the track sound really jittery and kind of stuttery. It's really... I've never used it. I've never thought it sounded pretty good enough for whatever I was making. But here, if that is what they used, it sounds interesting. He's utilizing it in a creative way. I like this flow. That's a really nice track, I think. It's definitely a little more pleasant. You know, there's something about it that's just a little sweeter, a little more melodic. It's not so dark and gritty. I like his flow on here. I think it's definitely a less energetic track than what we've been getting so far. It's definitely one of the more laid back, kind of easier going tracks, but I still like it a lot. That one's definitely going on my Patreon playlist. I really want to come back to that one. And that was the last track on disc 1. Now, should I review these discs separately? I mean, I think that'd be kind of interesting, right? Yeah, I'll review disc 1 separately from disc 2. That'll help me to keep my thoughts in order and help me from getting to the end of the entire project and forgetting some of these first tracks. So, definitely a very energetic sort of a vibe for this first disc. Definitely very hard-hitting and aggressive, abrasive, not afraid to put some really dystopian, distorted, eerie, creepy, like scary sounding melodies on these tracks sometimes, but never going too heavy-handed with the melodies. And what I mean when I say that is a lot of times it's a simple chord progression on a loop with a really nice sounding synth. Sometimes it's a sample that's just cut to a few bars and looped, and that's really all he has as the melody in the track. Sometimes it's, you know, this little synth lead that has like it sounds like it's got a Gross Beat preset on it for Play With Fire, and that's really paired with like a harpsichord kind of sound that's plucking a few notes. That's really all there is melodically in the track. There's not a whole bunch of... This isn't like an Internet Money, Nick Mira, a bunch of melodies over the top end where he plays the same chords and the same melodies with like 3 or 4 different instruments to get this really lavish, full sounding melody for the track. That's not what we're getting here. We're getting really simple melodies with hard hitting drums and bass lines and aggressive verses. So it's definitely kind of like a in-your-face, vibe for this entire first half of this album. I enjoy it. I think out of the 7 tracks, I added 4 to my playlist, and maybe 2 of them or 3 of them to my workout playlist as well. Definitely want to come back and see which one of these grow on me. And as we head into disc 2, I'm looking at how many times, right, the times that these tracks have been played, and the play counters for disc 2 are much higher than disc 1. So I'm expecting disc 2 to be a little bit more approachable, definitely more replayable, a little bit more on the radio-friendly side, because it seems to have gone more mainstream than the first half. So I like the first half, but I'm thinking maybe if the second half has a little bit more versatility and a little bit more approachable tracks, like some more radio-friendly hits on here, maybe I might end up enjoying disc 2 more than disc 1. So let's find out. The first track is I Tried. I've heard this once or twice before, but I don't remember what it sounds like, so we're just going to listen to all these 7 tracks. Let's jump into disc 2. Oh, I remember this now. This is already 10 times more melodic and 10 times more heavy on that top end on the instrumentals than anything on disc 1. Horns, keys, guitars. We also have some little background vocals that are really nice, and the drums are mixed so that they're not hitting too heavily. They sound a little bit more classic, a little bit more 70s kind of feeling, right? They're not meant to be trap bangers. This is more of a softer kind of song. It sounds really good so far. Let's go. I love the arrangements here, man. Yeah, I really like that showing some versatility on Slowthai's part. Now he's not like, he's doing a little bit of singing on this, but he's still rapping over this instrumental. But the instruments sound awesome. I love the horns, the organs, the little keys, right? The guitar that's just kind of soloing and riffing in the background. It sounds awesome. The drums sound nice and crunchy, the way they sound off of vinyls, right? That really warm kind of tone to the drums. It's just I love it. Tame Impala has great sound in drums. He goes for that sound a lot as well. I think it sounds great, man. I love the production on this one. And if this is the lane that he's going for on disc 2, I can totally understand why people come back to disc 2 more than disc 1, man. It sounds awesome. I love it. Track 2 is Focus. Kenny Beats. Kenny Beats is goated, bro. I love this man so much.
Life never precious, and I always had a death wish, and I never had a breath of dick. My future.
Helen Keller bars. Little vocals that's panned to the right sounds cool. I think the 808 line could have been better, Kenny, but I'm vibing with the rest of it, man. Yeah, that's still a more approachable sound than what we got on disc 1, despite it being a little bit more aggressive on the drums than I Tried, for example. It still sounds more pleasant, if that makes any sense. Like I said, I think the 808 line could have been a little better. I'm not a huge fan of the way that he did the 808 notes there, but I think that the little vocals that are panned to the right side are really cool. I like the hats that have some stereo separation on them or some delay on them that it almost sounds like there's 2 hats being played at almost the exact same time. It adds a little bit of depth to that. I like the kick in the 808, the way that they're laid on top of each other. They sound really cool. They sound nice and fat. Yeah, nice little keys. And there's a cheeky little cowbell in there that I know some people are going to get at me for in the comments, but it's not super distracting. So I like that. I think that Slowthai's performance on this is definitely softer. He's definitely not as aggressive and really fitting. Track 3 is Terms with Dominic Fike and Denzel Curry. Instantly a radio-friendly hit, man. This portion right here is unnecessary, I think. I would have preferred if they just jump right back into the hook. Dominic Fike is killing this. I must have missed what Denzel Curry did on this track. Was he the little vocals during those portions right before the chorus, right? During the pre-chorus? Is that like a Denzel Curry sample? And is that why he's credited here? I kind of was hoping that Denzel would have a verse on this because this beat goes crazy, man. I mean, in any case, Slowthai ripped his performance on both verses. The beat's really, really cool. And Dominic Fike provided us with a very catchy chorus, which is really all that I needed, man. So I like it. I think it definitely would have been better if that second verse was Denzel, though. Still, it is what it is. Track 4 is Push featuring Deb Never. Car drugs make me fonder. Selling drugs get you richer. That's a raw flush on the river. Side the pot when it's dark like a spot. Nobody wanna. Vocals in the background are so sweet. Love the guitars too. Love the Deb Never feature on this one. Her voice sounds super smooth, man. I like the little vocals in the background. They sound so heavenly, so sweet. The guitars being played right now are just nice and warm. This is a very comfortable song to listen to. It's really easy, man. Really easy going, very laid back. Slowthai still giving us some energy, still giving us some contrast with his, his performance on this track, right? So it's not a super sleepy song, and it is nice and short, so we're not going to get bored with it. So I like that too. I think that that's a nicely done, slower song for Slowthai. I think that's a good way to keep people interested, is by providing that energy with your performance. So that people don't, fall asleep during the song. I think it's nice. Really, really good. Let Deb Never carry the vibes and you just keep people awake. That's great, man. NHS track 5. Sunny, never have too much money, always had a bumney. You will always know what's a sandwich to a dinner, what's a feather to a mattress, what's a punto to a bimmer. 18ers, fight sequence, my demons, pride feelings, die drop. Piano sounds awesome too. Is all you need I like the lyrics too, talking about looking at the bigger picture.
With that silly songs, abusers
Yeah.
with no sober mums. Screaming, say you're doing wrong. What's love without what's wealth without the poor? Please, the world we living in. I'm trying to give you reassurance.
That's really nice, man. That's a great song. I love the arrangements there. The pianos sound really, really cool. Super sweet, reminiscent, kind of longing, you know. The drums are really nice. I like the rim shot for the snare. I think that the hi-hat pattern is really cool too. I wasn't expecting that sort of a bounce to come in with those drums, but I think they complement the rest of the music really well. I like what Slowthai's saying here, man, about, you know, taking everything with a little bit of a grain of salt and trying to understand that the good comes with the bad, and trying to make sure that we appreciate life as it is around us, despite all of, you know, the bad that comes with the good, the rain that comes with the sunny days, the you know, he mentions poor and the rich, he mentions health and the poor health, he mentions, you know, just everything that is good has an equally bad counterpart, and about how life can still be beautiful despite that. He also mentions, I think in the first verse, he's more so talking about looking at the bigger picture. You know, what's a room without the what's a room to a mansion? What's a bullet to a pistol? You know, just don't focus in on the one little thing, because it's really surrounded by something much larger, and that's what we really need to be paying attention to. So just always pay attention to that bigger picture, because we can so easily get, you know, hyper focused into one little detail and get lost in that, and lose sight of everything that is truly important. So yeah, this track really spoke to me, man, more so than any of the other ones on this project. The lyrics really called out to me on this one, and I definitely vibe with this one a lot, dude. So I would say I think this is my favorite song of the project so far. Absolutely, and the more that I think about the lyrics, the more that they resonate with me. So this is definitely going on a couple of playlists. Yeah, track 6, Feel Away, featuring James Blake and Mount Kimby.
She said she feels trapped, stuck up in this fucking maze. I don't feel away, I never hesitate. What's on your mind, can you say it? With the fireplace, sitting by the fire with marshmallows in a chocolate fake.
Something interesting better happen soon, man.
Suddenly, not half a man I used to be. Could it be?
I'm not a fan of the 808, to be honest. Oh, okay, so James just came in and made the track his. James saved this track for me, dude. Yeah, James Blake definitely saved this track in my opinion, because the little melody is nice, but it was on a loop for over a minute almost with no drums or anything, and so that was kind of losing me a little bit, because it's just the same thing over and over again. Then when the drums did come in and Slowthai was still going off, I didn't really like the 808, and the drum pattern just kind of felt a little empty for some reason, or the beat kind of felt a little empty. But when James Blake came in, he kind of filled out that space with more instruments and background vocals, and the track just felt so full, and it really feels like it came alive during his verse. So he really saved this song in my opinion. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't come back to it. The only reason I will come back to it is because of James Blake. Seriously, like, I cannot overstate that he really did pull this track out of the grave for me, in my opinion. So yeah, Mount Kimby did his thing, Slowthai did his thing. I'm not mad at their performances. I was just kind of thrown off by the production. It wasn't really grabbing my attention, but James Blake, yep. Last track is ADHD. This sounds like it's drunk right now, dude. That's crazy.
Sick as a pig, can you help? Trying to get a deal with the screams, only screaming at myself. Trying to protect, so I project, deflect, and it could. Sad songs, the sickness, the passenger always been a witness. Excalibur. Be the death of me, heaven weaponry, and my melon sweet. I got tendencies,
Man, towards the ending when he was kind of really going off and his energy was at an all-time high for the track, that was my favorite part, you know? The phone call was cool. I would have liked that he saved that for the actual ending, right, to close the track out, because then it doesn't interrupt the song about halfway through it. But yeah, I think the guitars do sound a little messy sometimes, just because of how warbly and kind of sloppy drunk they kind of sound. I get that it's intentional, but it does definitely sound a little messy for sure. I don't know that I would have done it exactly that way, but it's not bad at all. It's not a bad closer either. definitely kind of makes sense, you know, that the track is called ADHD, and it has guitars in it that make it kind of hard to keep focus. So yeah, man, disc 2. Let's talk about disc 2, because I reviewed disc 1. Definitely the more replayable half of this entire project, right? Definitely more melodic and approachable, very easy on the ears for the most part. There are some really pretty sounding tracks, right? I Tried, NHS, my favorite song, the James Blake feature on Feel Away, the hook on Terms, right? Dominic Fike really providing that really catchy chorus that's super easy to come back to. Deb Never's angelic vocals on Push. Like, this is definitely the sweeter, more replayable half of this project. Unless you're looking for something more aggressive and, you know, harder, and you're like that darker kind of sound from Slowthai, disc 1 is definitely for you. I think I'll definitely come back to disc 2 more often than not. I really enjoyed it. I can definitely tell why it's got more plays. Like I said, it houses my favorite track off this project in NHS, which was kind of surprising to me. I was expecting my favorite song to be one of the ones that have features on them, but NHS for some reason just really resonated with me, man, and I thought that it was really beautifully done. So yeah, I'm really not mad at this. I like the idea of having two vibes on this, two different discs, right? Two different directions to showcase your versatility a little bit and still be able to, you know, make the different kinds of music that you want to and provide some structure for the project. And it allows people to come back to exactly what they're looking for, right? Instead of having a bunch of different crazy vibes spread and randomized throughout the project, there's structure and order to this. I like TYRON, man. I think Slowthai did a good job, and I'm very excited about the future of his career. If he's, you know, he's got about 3.2 million monthly listeners right now, and he's making music at this quality. I really can't wait to hear what he comes up with, man, with, you know, the resources and the time that he's going to be able to dedicate to his craft. I want to see how he grows. I want to see, you know, what he does in the future. Super exciting stuff, man. Shout out to all the Slowthai fans out there. If you're watching this video and you're not subscribed yet, be sure to do so, because there's more videos coming. I really appreciate you guys for supporting the channel in the streams and for donating to help us reach the goal so that I can make this reaction for you guys. I'm really happy with that. You guys have been killing it. And yeah, thank you all so much for showing love to the channel, for liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing these videos, and showing love and showing support, man. Let's try and hit 20,000 by the end of the year. I'm at about 18.4 thousand right now. Been stuck here for a little bit, but we'll push past this, man. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching the video. I'll be back really soon. Until then, stay safe. Peace out.